The final show of the semester, well, at least for us together on the anchor desk, and it just so happens to line up with the final spring practice over at Edberg Olson Hall.
And two Owls over at the Lacrosse Center are dreaming about draft night.
And I'm Matthew Aquino, live at McGonigal Hall, where Temple Volleyball class is still in session. OwlSports Update is live, and it starts right now.
Hello and welcome into OwlSports Update. A new coach, new culture, but an old tradition returns to Edberg Olson Hall.
The cherry and white game made its long-awaited return to EO with nearly 2,000 people in attendance, all coming to see Stan Drayton's squad open to the public for the first time.
A tradition that had been halted by the Rod Carey regime returns, the cherry and white game. Cherry being the defense and white the offense, with various point totals for different feats, such as fumbles, interceptions, and sacks. While Dwan Mathis tries to show off his Mahomes pocket presence, there's Chauncey Moore with the interception. The offenses in this game rotated between starters and second strings. Here the second team getting stuffed at the line of scrimmage, but there was some positivity for that first team offense. Dwan Mathis finds Devon Fox, who powers ahead and gets one of two touchdowns on the day for the offense. And right away, here's that second. Mathis drops back. He throws a beautiful rainbow to the front corner, and that's the prep zone. Ahmad Anderson Jr. making the diving catch in the corner. But I did say the day was dominated by defense. Watch that pocket collapse as Mariano Valenti fumbles the ball in a game without QB contact. Cherry, the defense, wins by a score of 64-54. Saturday wrapped up the spring for the Owls. For head coach Stan Drayton, it wraps up his first spring ever, not only at Temple, but also as a head coach. On Tuesday during Owl Access Pass, Lindsey Moppert sat down with Coach. One topic discussed was the overall atmosphere from the fans to the former players.
It was something special, I thought. You know, a little overwhelming for me. Actually, I didn't expect all of that, but it was phenomenal. You had barbecue, you know, in the air. You had people just enjoying themselves, having a great time, and you know, all the former football players, the feedback of them feeling like they're at home again. All that stuff was very overwhelming for me, and I appreciate it. It really gives me an indicator that, you know, we're doing things the right way, the Temple way.
Saturday was the first time the public saw the Owls this spring, and there were many interested. Not just the casual fan, but also some well-known fans. OwlSports Update's Jake Gable was at the game and has more from Coach Drayton and another familiar face.
After waiting 3 years for the return of the cherry and white game and 133 days since their last game of the fall, both the players and fans were ready for football to be back. They weren't the only ones excited to watch. The event had several former and current NFL players in attendance, including two Temple Owls turned Philadelphia Eagles in Hassan Reddick and Sean Bradley.
I think it's good, man, seeing all the old-time players that we've been through before. So, you know, it's good to see everybody here, everybody healthy, you know, everybody doing their own thing. It's good, man. It's a family. It shows a family, brotherhood.
The winners of the day were the defense, as they caused 9 sacks and 5 turnovers throughout the game. This was the first time defensive coordinator DJ Elliott's defensive scheme was on display for Temple.
It's fun. I mean, those kids love playing that style of defense. And, you know, to be quite honest with you, we didn't show you everything that defense has been executing, you know, throughout the spring.
Man, you know, that's Temple right there. That's what we live off of. We've always been a Temple defense type of team, so they better be playing like that.
The offense wasn't completely silent, however, scoring 3 touchdowns for the day, all through the air. Reporting for OwlSports Update, I'm Jake Gable.
There's a lot to digest, so let's bring in the experts.
Inside the Nest reporter Eric Jessberger and anchor Ray Dunn join us. Fellas, last year was, in a word, less than ideal for the Owls. So I want to ask what you two have seen from Stan Drayton in his short stint in terms of what he's done for the culture of Owls football.
Well, Josh and Luke, the Stan Drayton era is here, and it began with that 3-year build-up to the cherry and white game, and it delivered. It was a beautiful day. You talk about that fan support and the pageantry that head coach Stan Drayton mentioned in his post-game press conference. It's crucial to have that fan support, given that the Owls will have 3 of the first 4 games at the Link. You're going to want to have that build-up fan support to combat to a strong team on the field.
And talking about support, I want to look to the former players. One name, Isaiah Graham Mobley. Now, there were a lot of former players that are showing their support, but how many times have you seen a guy who transferred less than a year ago back for the spring game? Stan Drayton's done a great job of opening that door to former players that know what it took to make Temple successful, and I think that's going to be big for the culture.
Now, as for that spring game, we saw the defense stand out, and we saw the offense have a couple nice plays, too. What can you take out of a game like that?
You can see some position groups that are ahead of schedule or going to be the leaders on this team, and I think the linebacking group really showed off. Mahim McCargo, Kobe Wilson, Jordan McGee, some names that we were saying at the end of the season might be there to step up and take big roles next season. Well, they're doing it right now, and you saw it in this spring game.
You also found that strong play on the offensive side of the ball already. Dwan Mathis and some wide receivers making some strong relationships early. You saw the success you had with Jose Barbone, but also Ahmad Anderson Jr. Look at that 2-minute drill. It was strong to see 2 catches as well as a 32-yard dime over-the-shoulder catch from Anderson Jr. connecting with Dwan Mathis. Also helps to see Dwan coming off of that foot injury last year, able to run out of the pocket. He looked well running the ball.
Well, excellent insight as always, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today. The Big 5 awards for men's and women's basketball took place at the Palestra over the weekend. OwlSports Update Zoe Tucker takes us through the Owls who took home that hardware.
Thanks, guys. Yes, the Palestra was home to the Big 5 banquet on Monday night, where they inducted a new class of honorees into the Big 5 Hall of Fame. This annual tradition was headlined by former basketball player and broadcaster Sonny Hill, alongside LaSalle alumni and current U.S. Olympics head coach Cheryl Reeve. The event was in honor of the late Jack Schuer, famed writer and Palestra all-time leading scorer, who passed away in February of 2020. Schuer was previously inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2002 and was given a real working key to the Palestra. The Big 5 honored 2 players from the men's basketball team, Damian Dunn, who got his first all-time Big 5 honors, and Jalil White, who won Big 5 Rookie of the Year. The women's team was also evenly represented, with graduate, forward, and Temple all-time leading scorer Mia Davis also on the Big 5 all-first team, and freshman Anaya Gordine on the second team. Although Mia Davis is graduating, Gordine, Dunn, and White all have more time in North Broad to earn awards in the coming years. Reporting from the Leah Corus Center, I'm Zoe Tucker. Luke and Josh, back to you.
Thank you, Zoe. And that aforementioned Mia Davis is graduating from Temple as the program's all-time leading scorer. And Monday night, she waited to hear her name called in the WNBA draft. 36 names were called, but none of them Mia Davis. And for now, Davis remains searching for a home at the professional level.
And making that pro level has been a tough task for Owls over the years. Shea Petty was the last Owl to be drafted and play in the WNBA, but her path was anything but easy. As the 23rd overall pick in 2012, she didn't make her WNBA debut until 2019. Now, Mia Davis isn't the only one dreaming about draft night. Caleb Battle announced on Twitter that he's declaring for the NBA draft this upcoming season, but it is with the option to return to school.
That's right. So Battle is now able to go through the entire NBA draft process, workouts, meetings, even the NBA Combine. However, Battle is allowed to come back to Temple as long as he doesn't hire an agent or, of course, get drafted. His numbers are good, but there's not a great sample size. In all likelihood, Caleb Battle will be playing the Leah Corus Center next season.
It's time for our first break, but coming up, we've got one team that hit a major milestone over the weekend.
We've got a new coach, some home cooking, and we have owls in the water, which might sound odd, but owls can actually swim. OwlSports Update will be right back.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update. Temple lacrosse wore white in a weekend matchup with Cincinnati. And it's Abigail Ryan putting Temple ahead in the first with her 11th goal of the season. The Cherry and White built up an 8-5 lead at the half, but Cincy wasn't done yet. Kylie Noss notched her 5th goal of the day to cap off a 4-2 Bearcats run, but put Belle Mastro-Pietro at the 8-meter, and she'll put it in the net. She adds her team-leading 40th goal of the year. Temple wins it 14-10.
And that win on Saturday marked the 500th in program history for Temple lacrosse. That makes the Owls just the 6th program in all of Division I women's lacrosse to reach that mark. And appropriately enough, Temple's 500th win came on Alumni Day at Howarth Field. One team with a lot to prove and another coming off of its biggest win of the season. OwlSports Update's Jesse Demich-Louvet took a trip to the Schuylkill to preview the Crew team's next big race.
Thanks, guys. The Owls are off to a historic start, being named AAC Boat of the Week. For the first time since 1995, the Owls claimed the Murphy Cup Regatta crown, edging Georgetown by 1/3 of a second earlier this month to open their season. The boat is primarily made up of East Coast talent with a mix of international flavor. Rose Biddall from Australia, Maggie Page from England, and Niamh Keeley from Ireland give this group the experience it needs to pick up more titles. The Owls make their highly anticipated return to the Schuylkill this Saturday at the Kerr Cup Regatta, looking to build on this early season success. Meanwhile, the men are equally as impressive with its Varsity 8, earning a national ranking of number 19 in the latest coaches poll. This team will test out that new national ranking this weekend on the West Coast waters of San Diego. Reporting from the Schuylkill River, I'm Jesse Demich-Louvet. Luke and Josh, back to you in the studio.
Thanks, Jesse. Time for volleyball, led by new head coach Linda Hampton-Keith on Sunday morning. The Owls hosted Norfolk State, Lafayette, and Rutgers, who are here in the white. A nice play from the Scarlet Knights, but who put a roof on that net? Peyton Boyd with the block. And now here against Lafayette, some nice defense to keep the ball alive, but it leads to a free ball, and the Leopards take advantage. Tough one for Veronica Danielson, but now here comes a beautiful back row set from Leonie Freitag. Absolutely buried. Temple winds up winning one, losing one, and drawing a pair.
It was an even ending to the spring for the Owls, and that may be a good thing. The program finished 3-17 in conference play last season. And new head coach Linda Hampton-Keith took a serious approach to the spring. OwlSports Update's Matt Aquino is live at Pearson McGonigal Hall to tell us more. Hey, Matt.
Hey, Luke. Temple Volleyball has only posted a winning record in one of the last 4 years. So in comes the new head coach, who has won on the big stage in the past, and is trying to duplicate that here in Philly.
The matches don't count, the stats don't count, but this spring season is crucial for the volleyball team, a program that finished second to last in the American last fall. The Owls have a new coach, and as a result, the players are learning a new way of thinking.
The team has been working so hard. They've learned a lot. We've really kind of blown their minds, I think, sometimes with, just kind of cramming a lot of information into them.
These self-described mind-blowing experiences take place in classroom sessions hosted by Hampton-Keith. She calls them Volley 101.
We take like a good 45 minutes of our time to really just talk with each other about certain situations or things that we see, or talk about recruiting.
Before the spring season even started, Coach Hampton-Keith began retooling the Owls. In February, she hired Jordan Glass as the new recruiting coordinator, and before that, she brought on Jose Lugo. The two worked together at Arizona State and with USA Volleyball.
We're on the same page philosophically. We're on the same page, as far as how we're going to run our systems here. And so that was a pretty seamless transition.
All three of the coaches have been very beneficial in our growth throughout this season and our getting closer as a team.
Hampton-Keith is placing an emphasis on setting goals and establishing a long-term vision.
Temple's been to a Sweet 16, and so we want to get back there and go beyond that, but we've got to lay down the right foundation first.
It won't be easy getting back to the national tournament. The Owls haven't been there since 2002. At Pearson McGonigal Hall, I'm Matt Aquino. Josh and Luke, back to you in the studio.
Thank you, Matt. Wrestling here at Temple? We hear from a judo bronze medalist turned All-American right here in North Philadelphia. That's coming up on the other side.
And we've also got a fly on the wall, or an owl on a colorful rock wall.
OwlSports Update will be right back.
Welcome back to OwlSports Update. If you didn't know Temple had a wrestling club, you're in the same boat as Temple's latest 174-pound All-American. And as he learned, it's never too late to find out. OwlSports Update's Brett Riak has more.
Temple Wrestling's latest All-American selection comes from an unlikely source. Freshman Grigol Kochiashvili had no intention of wrestling after high school, choosing to focus on school. But this season's head coach, Kurt Paroli, changed all of that through word of mouth.
I found out through a mutual friend that he was at Temple, didn't even know we had a wrestling program. So I reached out to him prior to school even starting.
The team may be listed as a club sport, but the intensity level of the competition is fierce.
I don't treat it as what they call a club. I treat it as if was a wrestling program as any other D1, D2, D3 school does.
Grigol finished the regular season with a perfect 13-0 record to qualify for nationals. On March 10th, he breezed through the first 4 rounds, advancing to the national championship match, which he lost in double overtime.
I've actually improved dramatic over this 1 year. People were talking about, it was a waste of potential to be at Temple's team. I think otherwise now.
Grigol had mixed success in high school. He wasn't a state medalist, but did win a bronze in the USA Judo Junior Olympic Championships in 2021.
I did have a whole background in judo that I did much before the whole, wrestling in high school. Next year, the plan, man, is I'm going to kill it over the summer, and I'm running through that bracket.
Temple offers 36 club sports, so don't miss out on your opportunity to join in. Shoot your shot. From Franklin Mills, I'm Brett Riak, OwlSports Update.
We spend most of our time on the show focusing on the 18 Division I sports played here at Temple, but like wrestling, Temple offers several opportunities for students to pursue athletics at the club level, including one club that rises higher than the rest. OwlSports Update's Natalie Caranda is at the studio set. Hi, Natalie.
Thanks, Josh. Temple Rock Climbing Club is open to all, but that open door policy includes a handful of climbers good enough to compete nationally.
Anyone can climb, but this year, Temple will be sending just a few to compete against the best college climbers have to offer. 4 Owls will be heading just 40 minutes west to the Collegiate Nationals in Bridgeport. That includes Olivia Harmanis.
We all kind of have began this training process of training together and going to local climbing gyms around Philly.
Harmanis has been on the rocks for 13 years.
Although climbing isn't like an NCAA sport, there is a collegiate series, so this year, especially after COVID and stuff, we've all been trying to organize ourselves together as a team and get people interested in competing.
Nationals is a 3-day event that begins on the 21st, but you don't have to be a national competitor to be here on the wall. It's full of climbers of all skill levels that vary, including those brand new to the wall.
There are a lot of different moves that you can have in climbing, so what you're going to try to do is get as much different practice.
And having people in different disciplines that are experienced can just help members, even myself. Even though I'm present, I still get information from other members.
The club meets 3 times a week on campus, Mondays and Tuesdays at R. Mark Star Complex, a Wednesday meeting at Pearson McGonigal Hall for a workout, and Fridays at Two Fist Boulder Lounge right on Cecil B. Moore. Overall, there are many people in the club, but members can come as often or as little as they'd like. The wall is always for the beginners or for those training for nationals.
The climbing club isn't the only one heading to nationals in the coming weeks. 2 different teams have already or will make their way across the country to compete. Temple's club roller hockey team has qualified for nationals 4 years in a row, flying over to Kalamazoo, Michigan. Club volleyball recently traveled to Phoenix, Arizona to compete in their competition this week, and club baseball is eyeing regionals in Virginia. Next week, our own Tanner Gilmartin will have an update. Reporting from the studio set, I'm Natalie Caranda. Back to you at the desk.
Thanks, Natalie. It's this duo's final break of the year, and you don't want to miss what's next. A Hall of Famer breaking ground here at Temple, and we look back at what's been a fantastic semester.
A sappy farewell and a preview of our newest documentary, all when OwlSports Update returns.
There was a big-time event on campus this past Friday. The newly created Claire Smith Center for Sports Media hosted a symposium to celebrate the 75th anniversary of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball. Some of the speakers included Astros manager Dusty Baker, Bob Kendrick, president of the Negro Leagues Museum, and Branch Rickey III, who is the grandson of the Dodgers owner who signed Robinson in 1947.
It's our last show together this semester, so before we sign off, we've got some people to thank. Every show is only as good as the producers, and we're lucky to have some great ones. Kobe Noon, Becky Sebring, Haley Palmer, and Matt Fine have led the way for us all semester.
We got many more. Vic, Brett, Dan, Matt Aquino, and Matt Automatic Rainier, JoJo, Jesse, Hennessis, Christina, everyone's favorite Knicks fan, Hayden, Natalie, John, Jake, Carlton, Andrew, Max, Chloe, and Zach. We couldn't do any of this stuff without you guys.
Well, I guess I won't be needing this anymore, and you were the first person I thought of.
Elijah still finished his high school career with over 3,400 passing yards, throwing 31 touchdowns.
And finally here at the Star Training Complex.
They are the underdogs, with conference powers Central Florida, Southern Florida, and Tulane, all vying for the title.
That's within 1 second of the school record.
My first pick to keep an eye on is sprinter Shelby Elam. It's been a strong season wire to wire for Elam.
And bring them to a cold and frigid environment like Philadelphia.
To paraphrase Coach McKee, life is like basketball. You get knocked down, you get back up again. Never let them keep you down.
And that is the ability to compete against competitors all across the country. And it's all done from the comfort of their own home.
The freshman corps will continue to contribute when the women's gymnastics team travels to Brooklyn, New York to face LIU.
The Temple Owls have 2 home and 2 away games before the end of the season before heading to Dallas to the AAC tournament. Luke and Josh, back to the studio.
Oh man, as you can see, a fantastic semester, and while this is our last show together, our work isn't done just yet.
Well, I've been at home getting some beauty sleep. Josh and the rest of our documentary crew have worked tirelessly to put together an in-depth look at Big 5 basketball and its history in Philadelphia. We're asking the question, in a city dominated by pro sports, is the fan following of college basketball in Philly the exception? Take a look. On the 28th, we have one final week of OSU content to drop. First, the sports brief on Monday. Then, OAP with Lindsay Moppert on Tuesday. Our final edition of the podcast, OwlSports Update, off air Wednesday. And a final edition of OwlSports Update on Thursday, and that is our senior show. Now, this is the last show for Josh and me, and before we go, I want to say thank you for being a great friend and a great leader. It made this the best place in the world to work.
Well, big thank you to this guy over here to my right. I mean, we've been through, I remember calling a Temple-Cincinnati game together, a little Temple-Houston game together, and well, we haven't seen too much winning. It's been fun together. I do have to take a special thank you for one, Haley Palmer, who has always kept me smiling and excited to work on this show day in and day out. I think it's safe to say for all of us here, any crew is just not the same unless you have someone like Haley. So Haley, I know you're back there somewhere. Thank you so much. And of course, Matt Fine, who signs the hypothetical checks. Would be nice if they weren't so hypothetical, but I digress. Thank you for taking a chance on me. I know I did not volunteer enough freshman year. It's just the truth, Luke. This isn't a goodbye. It's a see you later. But Luke, I mean, before I get out of here, I gotta say, I'm trying to think of a few of our best memories here. You got one for me?
I mean, I think handing the chocolate over was definitely one of our best. I needed it that day.
Well, it's not a goodbye. It's a see you later. We'll see you next week.